Tell me Shedeur Sanders' future in pro football.
I don't think it's in Cleveland.
Can he be a starter in the NFL?
I think he can. I think he has a lot of maturing to do, Urban. I really do. I think both as an individual and as a quarterback and learning to play within the scheme. I think there's a lot of drifting and sliding out of the pocket. I think there's this innate, because of the way he played at Colorado and throughout his college career.
Everybody's just assuming Caleb Williams go number 1 overall in the NFL draft.
Yep.
There's Caleb Williams going number 1 overall.
Him or May?
No. May is going number 2 overall. See, you say him or May. I say him or May. But what it sounds like what everybody else is saying is Caleb Williams, by far, number 1 overall pick. Drake May, number 2 overall pick. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I don't know if that's just how NFL...
They said he couldn't do it, but Shedeur just proved them all wrong. Tell me Shedeur Sanders' future in pro football. It's like, well, I don't know if that's just how NFL... So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Nah, not this time. Not this year. Not after what we just watched with our own eyes. Because that hook right there, that wasn't analysis. That wasn't some harmless opinion from a guy doing his job. That was the same old playbook trying to sneak back onto the field like nobody would notice. And the crazy part is, they always try it right when the player gives you real proof. Right when the box score shuts people up. Right when the tape starts talking louder than the headlines. You felt it too. I know you did. The second those words came out, needs to mature, drifts in the pocket. Doesn't have the arm, doesn't have the mobility. I don't see him. There. It hit like deja vu. Like we've been here before. And we know exactly where this road leads. Because those aren't real critiques. Those are labels. Those are vague little tags you can slap on somebody without showing one clip, without naming one play, without pointing to one moment in an actual NFL game. It's safe language. It's lazy language. And when it's timed like this, right after a breakout, it's dangerous language. That's what people don't want to admit. See, if a quarterback has a bad game and you come out with tough criticism, cool. That's the job. But when a quarterback just puts something on film when he just gave you the "you can't deny me" performance, and then you immediately pivot to character and maturity and tendencies like you're reading from a script, that's not football. That's narrative management. And fans are not stupid anymore. We watch the games. We watch the pressers. We see how teammates react. We see who gets blamed and who gets protected. We see who gets grace after a terrible Sunday and who gets dissected after a great one. We see how this business works, and it always works the same way. If the player is becoming too undeniable, you don't attack the stats, you attack the person. You don't argue the throws, you question the leadership. You don't talk about progress, you bring up concerns. And you keep it just vague enough that you can't be pinned down. That's why the timing matters. Because it's not random that these takes pop up right after momentum. Right after the buzz starts shifting. Right after fans start saying, "Hold up, we might have something here." That's when the gatekeepers get nervous. That's when the temperature rises. That's when somebody tries to get out in front of it and slow the train down before it picks up too much speed. And that's why the reaction online was instant. Not because people are emotional for no reason. Not because folks can't handle criticism. It was instant because we recognized the smell. Same language, same tone, same vague critique, just repackaged, like it's fresh. And then you get G. Bush stepping into it. Now, I'm not here acting like he's some superhero, but what he did in that moment mattered, because it was the first time somebody didn't just roll their eyes and move on. He said what fans have been typing for months. Stop saying stuff you can't prove. Stop throwing out these big, heavy words with no receipts. Stop acting like we didn't just watch what happened. Because once you say it out loud, once somebody with a platform finally pushes back, the whole conversation shifts. The we shows up. The community shows up. Not as a mob, but as people demanding specifics. Demanding honesty. Demanding that football takes actually be about football. So yeah. Nah. Not this time. And if this isn't about what's happening between the lines anymore, if it's not about the throws, the reads, the progress, the results, then what is it really about? Let's slow this down for a second and talk about reality, not narratives, not draft boards, not the stuff people think they know. Because once the ball is snapped, all that pre-draft noise, it dies. The league does not care where you were picked. It does not care what round your name was called in. It only cares about one thing. Can you help us win right now? And that's the part that keeps getting ignored on purpose. Look at where this player actually is today. Not last year. Not college tape from 2 seasons ago. Not some scouting report written before he ever took an NFL snap. Right now, he's a quarterback who stepped onto the field with real pressure, limited reps, and zero margin for error, and he delivered. Not flashy social media football. Functional, grown man, NFL football. Moving the chains, reading coverage, making throws that keep drives alive. That matters more than anything. Depth charts change fast in this league. You don't wait your turn if the guy behind you is clearly giving the offense more juice. Coaches notice, teammates notice, defensive players notice, and most importantly, the locker room notices. That's the part analysts sitting behind microphones never fully understand. Fans see it, though. We watch the sideline shots. We see who teammates run to after a big play. We see who gets patted on the helmet after a mistake instead of iced out. We see who's talking in the huddle and who everyone is actually listening to. That stuff doesn't show up in box scores, but it tells you everything about where a quarterback really stands. And right now, the locker room response doesn't match the media narrative at all. Media perception says, ? Locker room reality says, we can work with this. Media perception says, placeholder. Locker room reality says, this feels different. And that gap between those two worlds, that's where the truth usually lives. This is also where the lazy comparisons start falling apart. Every time a young quarterback starts showing something, the same names get thrown around. Same comps, same shortcuts. And it flattens the whole conversation. Because not every mobile quarterback plays the same. Not every pocket passer sees the field the same way. And not every development path looks clean in year 1. We've seen this before. Jalen Hurts didn't look polished early. Josh Allen was called reckless. Dak Prescott was supposed to be a stopgap. Brock Purdy was just a system guy. The league has a long history of being wrong because it judged players by labels instead of growth. What separates real evaluation from lazy takes is context. Who were you throwing to? What protection were you getting? How did you respond when the first read wasn't there? Did you panic or did you adjust? Did the offense look calmer with you under center? Those are the questions teams actually care about. And when you answer enough of those the right way, things start happening quietly behind the scenes. More trust, more responsibility, more opportunity. Not because Twitter said so, but because football people see something they can build on. So yeah, analysts can keep arguing about what this player isn't, but whatever they think he is, the league is already responding differently. Listen closely, because this is where everything slows down and where the truth usually slips out. The words they use matter, not the volume, not the confidence, the words. Because when you really sit with the criticism being thrown around, you start noticing something strange. It sounds serious. It sounds damning. But when you ask someone to actually explain it, it falls apart. He needs to mature. Okay, mature how? Doesn't fit the system. Which system? Which concept? Which red? Bad habits. From what game? What snap? What situation? That's the part fans are done ignoring. Because this isn't about being sensitive. It's about accountability. If you're going to question a quarterback at the highest level, bring football reasons. Bring film. Bring timestamps. Bring something real we can all look at together. Not vibes. Not assumptions. Not recycled phrases that sound smart but say nothing. And that's why this critique feels off to so many people watching. We're not seeing reckless play. We're not seeing panic. We're not seeing a guy melting down under pressure. What we're seeing is a young quarterback processing in real time, adjusting on the fly, and learning at NFL speed. That's not immaturity, that's development. That's how this league actually works. But instead of acknowledging growth, the conversation jumps straight to intangibles, and that's always a red flag. Because intangibles are the easiest thing to question and the hardest thing to disprove. You can't pull up a clip and say, "See? He matured right here." You can't show leadership on an all-too angle. So when someone leans too hard on those words, what they're really doing is shifting the conversation away from the field. Fans feel that instinctively. You don't need to be a scout to know when something isn't adding up. You watch the games, you watch the sideline. You watch how teammates respond after mistakes. You watch whether the offense tightens up or loosens up with a quarterback in there. And when what you're seeing doesn't match what you're being told, you start asking questions. And this isn't new. We've seen this pattern over and over again in sports media. Certain players get evaluated on production. Others get evaluated on personality. Some quarterbacks throw 3 picks and get called aggressive. Others throw 1 bad ball and get called reckless. Some guys get praised for confidence. Others get warned about ego. Same position, same league, totally different language. And that's why fans aren't buying the vague stuff anymore. Because if you really believe a quarterback has flaws, cool. That's fair. Every young quarterback does. But say what they are. Show us the play where the footwork broke down. Show us the missed read. Show us the protection call that went wrong. That's real analysis. That's respect for the game. What people are pushing back against isn't criticism. It's lazy criticism. It's criticism that asks us to trust the speaker instead of the evidence. And that doesn't fly anymore in a league where everyone can rewind, pause, and watch the same snap you did. So the pressure flips now, not on the player, on the people talking about him. Because if you're going to say it, if you're going to question it, if you're going to cast doubt, show us. Work doesn't lie. Ever. And this is the part of the story where the noise finally starts to fade. Because once you strip away the takes and the talking points, all you're left with is what a player does every single day when nobody's tweeting about it. Development isn't a highlight reel. It's habits. It's how you show up on Tuesday. It's how fast you correct something that went wrong on Sunday. It's whether the same mistake shows up again or disappears. That's where the real growth has been happening. You can see it in the preparation. The way the timing looks sharper week to week. The way the ball is coming out with more purpose. The way the quarterback isn't just surviving the pocket anymore, he's operating inside it. Subtle movements. Eyes staying downfield. Feet telling the truth before the throw even leaves his hand. That stuff doesn't come from talent alone. That comes from reps, from film, from being coachable. And the people closest to the situation know it. Coaches don't speak in hot takes. Teammates don't rally around guys who don't put the work in. Players can tell immediately who's faking it and who's grinding. You don't earn trust in an NFL locker room with a name or a college resume. You earn it by being prepared when the lights come on. You earn it by responding after a mistake instead of shrinking. You earn it by making the next throw. That's why the story on the inside looks so different from the one being shouted on TV. Progress is rarely clean. It's messy. There are moments where it looks uncomfortable. Moments where the timing is just a half second off. Moments where the decision is right, but the execution isn't perfect yet. That's not regression, that's learning at full speed. And fans who actually watch snaps instead of sound bites can see it happening in real time. This is where the narrative started losing control. Because once the results stack up, once the offense starts moving, once drives extend, once teammates respond differently, the outside voices don't get to decide the story anymore. The field does. The scoreboard does. The film does. They said he couldn't adjust, but he did. They said he couldn't command the offense, but he did. They said he couldn't translate it to this level, but he did. And every time he answers one of those doubts, the list of excuses gets shorter. That's how it always goes. The criticism doesn't disappear, it just shifts. It looks for new angles, new words, new ways to slow the momentum, but the work keeps stacking, and eventually, it gets uncomfortable to ignore. Because effort shows up, growth shows up, preparation shows up. You don't have to believe the hype. You don't even have to believe the ceiling projections. All you have to do is watch what's happening week to week and ask yourself a simple question. Is this player getting better? And when the answer keeps coming back, yes, louder every time. The conversation changes whether people want it to or not. At some point, the proof gets too loud to ignore. This is bigger than one take, bigger than one segment, bigger than one analyst trying to steer the conversation back where it used to live. What happened here is a sign of something shifting, and you can feel it if you've been paying attention. The power isn't centralized anymore. It's not locked behind studio desks or protected by job titles. Fans have film now. Coaches' quotes get clipped in real time. All 2-2 is accessible. Context doesn't disappear the way it used to. And when someone says something reckless, it doesn't just float by uncontested anymore, it gets checked. That's new. And it changes everything. For decades, the formula was simple. Say it confidently enough, repeat it often enough, and eventually it becomes truth. But that doesn't work when thousands of people can pull up the same snaps you're talking about. It doesn't work when the locker room energy contradicts the headline. It doesn't work when performance keeps answering questions you refuse to update. That's why this moment matters. Because what we're watching isn't just a quarterback fighting for respect, it's a fan base learning how to hold the conversation accountable. Not emotionally, not blindly, with evidence, with memory, with receipts. And once that happens, the old tricks stop working. Here's the belief part, and I'm saying this grounded in what's already happened, not hype. This player is not done rising. The league has already adjusted its behavior. The opportunities are real. The trust is real. The trajectory is real. And while the mainstream conversation might lag behind, it always does, the football itself is already pointing in one direction. Not perfection, not superstardom overnight, but legitimacy, staying power, a real seat at the table. We've seen this movie before. The early doubters, the constant moving of goalposts, the slow pivot when denial stops being possible. And then one day, the same voices that questioned everything start acting like they always saw it. That's when you'll remember this moment. You'll remember when the narrative cracked, when the pushback wasn't just emotional, but informed, when fans didn't just defend, they demonstrated, when watching the games actually mattered more than talking about them. And that's why I'm talking to you right now. Not to tell you what to think, not to sell you certainty, but to invite you into something that's already happening. Pay attention. Remember who said what. Watch how the language changes. Watch who adapts and who doubles down. Watch how quickly silence replaces confidence when the proof keeps stacking. Because the next time a take drops that doesn't line up with what you're seeing, you'll know exactly what to do. You'll rewind. You'll check the film. You'll trust your eyes. And you won't let the conversation get dragged backward. This isn't about picking sides. It's about respecting the game. And if you're here, still listening, you're already part of that shift.